Copy link. Whenever you're ready here, copy link. There we go. Bang. All righty. All right, boys. Well, are you ready?
2 seconds.
All right.
Go for it.
All righty. Well, we're back live with the Fantasy After Dark podcast. Joining me, of course, Christopher Cornwell. Boys, I'm Brett Perry of the Auto Football League. Boys, you look confused by what we're doing here. It's been a while.
Well, this is the most fantasy football season I've ever seen in my entire life. What happened to the fun of set it and forget it in fantasy football?
Yeah.
Like if you take waiver wire off this week, a week, at any point in time this year, you're just fucked because it seems like someone is getting hurt every 2 days now.
Yeah, it's been a rough year for injuries. We had a lot of studs go down this year. We had some guys that are still not back yet. COVID, of course, is still a thing, and we'll talk. Is there anyone you were looking to grab this week, or no? Are you just saying in general?
No, I'm just saying in general. I've given up all hope. Me and Luke made a huge trade for Matt Tkachuk today in our fantasy hockey league.
Fantasy hockey.
I've moved on.
Boyce is on to fantasy hockey.
I feel like I've done as much as I can. I don't know what else. I'm waiting for Chris Carson to come back if that's ever a thing.
Yeah,
and that's pretty much it.
He is back on the practice field, but there are some guys that are still not practicing. We'll go over those, of course, and we'll look at some week 10 matchups, some week 10 players we like, and then we'll talk about our second half studs, guys who we think that are going to explode in the second half now as we get towards the end of the fantasy regular season, get ready for the playoffs. Playoffs for us, of course, not likely, but we're here to ride it out anyway.
I think you'll be very pleasant to hear who my second half stud is.
I'm looking forward to it. We are going to be joined by the Fantasy Reaper, Will Danilczyk, in a little bit, but for now, let's go over what we saw this week. And boys, both of us getting a couple of dubs here. Pretty exciting stuff.
It would have been very disappointing for me to blow another 40-plus point week out of Justin Herbert. I already blew the 50 burger. If I had blown a 40 burger on top of it, I think at that point I just would have quit.
Well, in our league of record here, the OFL, I take down a very, very, very weak Russo team with the bye week blues. He had no Tom Brady, no Chris Godwin, no Ryan Suckup, and no Tampa Bay defense. And it certainly showed in the outcome here with a couple of goose eggs. I had two players score half a point to Russo's two players that scored 0 points. Really excited about what I saw out of Javonte Williams, but I get the win, and I am rolling right along here to 4-5 and still kind of in it. Yeah, everyone's excited that Boyce is back. But yeah, no, I'm still, this is a big week for me against Mullen, but we'll see what happens here. So I go to 4-5. Russo stays in second here, 6-3. Mullen gets destroyed by our third host here who will be joining us. Like I said, the aforementioned Fantasy Reaper. Will takes down Mullen. Big week out of Nick Chubb, and now he's on COVID list, boys. Could we see another Ernest Johnson game?
I mean, it's possible. All I know is Will's definitely not getting the best out of Nick Chubb, and yet again, the cops let out of prison. That trade essentially handed Brett a shot out of the booty bowl.
I don't know. I was okay. I don't know. I mean, I looked at some of the players that I had in previous weeks, and my week one lineup performed very well this week. You had Judy have a nice game. Brandon Ayuk scored. Darnell Mooney scored twice. Nick Chubb had a big week. And Kelsey scored. And these are all guys, they either didn't play or are no longer on my team. But we'll see. Like I said, Javonte Williams may save my season yet. We got a horseshoe alert here. 6-3, Peppered Angus. I think when Kevin yawns, you can see the horseshoe sticking out of his mouth here at this point. A team with some low points for gets the win over the first place team who Goob did not put up a solid week here. This is 2 losses in a row. Is it time to panic, Chris, for the Goobinator?
Of course it is. I think like we all said it was always going to come down to Cooper's depth, and if the guys that he had didn't go off, like, look, Mahomes hasn't looked like Mahomes.
Yeah.
Currently, no one has won the Tyreek Hill for Mike Williams trade because they both suck. Derrick Henry just lost a foot to diabetes, and he's got no one to slide him for these guys. So if Aaron Jones doesn't throw up 40 points, he's in trouble. I think the biggest thing that really helps him is that Michael Pittman Jr. is a star.
Really good.
He's a star. He's very, very good. But the rest of his team is just not performing. I mean, I'd be very worried if I was Brian. Not to mention the fact that it looks like Kansas City has decided they're gonna run the football now. And I think that's gonna take away targets for Hill. Maybe there'll be more designed runs for him, but it's gonna take that away from that target share for Hill. It's gonna take attempts away from Mahomes. I don't know if you're gonna see those 45, 50-point games out of Mahomes anymore.
Yeah, it's certainly been the last few weeks pretty bleak in Kansas City, and I think the run game really hasn't been completely established. Maybe do they want to try to establish a run like Boyce is alluding to? Yeah, I think every football team wants to start to run the ball well because then it opens up the pass. So if you're sitting back and cover 2 and you're just letting Mahomes dink and dunk, or if you're covering guys, if you can cover the streak with Hill or let him get those 5 to 6 yards, you let Kelsey do his thing. He gets, 10 to 12 yards a target. But if you can stop the run here, I mean, they've been an exposed team. They've been exploitable without the run game. So yeah, it's interesting.
They should have lost that game against the Packers this weekend.
Yeah.
They absolutely should have. If Aaron Rodgers is in that game instead of being immunized at home, they lose that game by 3 touchdowns. Like that's the Chiefs did not look good in that football game.
Yeah, Jordan Love had a pretty tall task. I mean, I've been to that stadium as an opposing fan, and it's loud. I'll tell you that it is loud, especially for a young quarterback like Jordan Love. Boys, here it is, the 102 victory over Steve. And were you nervous about James Conner at one point? I mean, he went off after.
Of course I was. I mean, if you look back in the chat, I said, well, James Conner turning into Lev Bell is pretty fun. Yeah. I mean, that was a Le'Veon Bell on the Steelers game if I've ever seen one. Absolutely. He was the entire offense. And so yes, that was a hair worrisome, but naturally I knew that Matt Gay would save me because Matt Gay is the best kicker in the NFL. So
the happiest kicker in the NFL.
He is the gayest and best kicker in the NFL.
For the happiest owner of Matt Gay in our league, there he is. And coming full circle, Melvin Gordon putting up 15.5 for you. Dak Prescott, they got boat raced by Denver, so he didn't do much. He, respectable 18 points with some garbage time, but Buffalo only putting up 10 against the Jaguars, losing that game. I mean, they still only gave up 9 points, but they lost, and no turnovers really. So yeah, Boyce with a win gets them a little bit closer to creep out of the booty because right now Mullen is sliding as well. And we're looking at here our final matchup. Ted gets the win over. Did we not go? We skipped one. Yeah, we skipped a couple here. We skipped Ham. No, yeah, we skipped Ham and Devil. Let's quickly go over this one. Not much else to talk about here with Ham's team. Almost 69 points. Kamara, Harris, Waller. Did Harris get hurt? Is that what happened there?
I believe Harris is a little banged up. Waller didn't play great. Waller didn't play great against the Giants, which was, kind of surprising. Alvin Kamara hasn't been the dominant force that we were all thinking he was going to be. Yeah. And Josh Allen flat out stunk.
Yeah, I mean, tied to that whole game, that awful game that they lost. And I guess, with the Cowboys giving up 30 points as well. That doesn't help you when
Probably
you
not
think
helping.
at
Yes,
home.
negative defense streams usually do not help your week.
Absolutely. The Patriots had a nice week with a pick 6, and the Marquise Brown trade for Devil looks like it's paying some dividends earlier. He got the touchdown from Ty Johnson on Thursday night after he fumbled. But look, the big surprise here was, now he didn't get in the end zone, but Cordarrelle Patterson looks like he's not a running back. Let's just put it that way. But he is some sort of hybrid unicorn where you can throw it to him out of the backfield. You can give it to him between the tackles at times, but he is their whole offense right now.
He's James White on steroids.
Yeah.
And I mean, and we saw at least a few years ago, James White was a top 14 running back or something like that in our scoring format.
Yeah, which is tough and standard.
Which is not nice to running backs for the most part. If you're not getting goal line catches, I mean, if you're not getting goal line touches, you are useless. And
Absolutely.
James White still found a way to carve out a role. Cordarrelle Patterson is James White who can take a James White pass and turn it into a 60-yard touchdown.
Yeah,
that's
very impressive.
Petrifying. It is like it's something out of Madden. That we're literally watching what Will would do in Madden with Cordarrelle Patterson in real life, and it's working. It's working very well. Will's probably sitting there going, "Why haven't they done this earlier?"
Yeah, well, we won't do it with them on the show. Speaking of working or not working, Daniel Jones, the stream of the week for Ted, but definitely did not. Look, you say his name 3 times and he appears. There he is, the Fantasy Reaper getting set up. We were just singing your praises about Cordarrelle Patterson.
More your Madden praises.
Yeah, your Madden praises.
Most dominant running back ever.
There
and
you
he's
go.
even better at tight end. They'll get him there in a couple of years.
Will, welcome to the show. We're just going over the week 9 matchups here. We already covered yours. We're going to the last one, of course, and the last matchup here.
I got a question with Henry hurt. Is it Teddy's week? Is it Teddy's league to lose?
Yeah, I would say so. Quick question though from the crowd. We have one here. Start 2. Emmanuel Sanders, Hunter Renfrow, Christian Kirk, Jerry Jeudy. Ooh, got to know if it's a PPR or not. That's a good question, Chosen One or Chosen Rose. Let us know if it's PPR or not, and we'll answer it for you. I'll leave these guys up here. I do like, you know what? Renfrow has a role off the top of my head. Renfrow and Jeudy, because you've got
that's where I would go.
Hopkins coming back.
Mm-hmm.
You've got now Eno Benjamin's going to have a role out of the backfield. That whole game that was an aberration because of Edmonds getting hurt and then Hopkins not playing and now Murray out still. So if it's PPR, it's half point. It's essentially PPR. So Jerry Jeudy and Hunter Renfrow. Do you guys agree?
I do. I think, especially in half point PPR with Renfrow seemingly being the safety net when Waller's being covered, and with Tim Patrick being hurt and not practicing today, I wouldn't be shocked to see Jeudy get fed a whole bunch of balls this weekend.
Yes, Sanders against the Jets. So he chose Rose says Sanders against the Jets. You know what? There's still too many mouths to feed there.
It could be anybody.
Yeah, one of these weeks, Diggs is going to go. Beasley gets a lot of targets. Knox might.
And the Jets haven't been bad against wide receivers. They just can't cover running back.
Absolutely, great question there, Chosen Rose. Yeah, and well, if Sweeney ends up playing, that might be a good tight end stream if you're out there looking, if you're desperate, got a guy in a buy. But we roll with Jeudy and Renfrow here, and best of luck to you. We're going to the last matchup here, and the win by Ted. It is his team. It is his season or his league to lose at this point with the dominance. Now with Dalvin Cook, the news with him coming out, we don't know what's going to happen. He's going to play this Sunday, of course, but Jonathan Taylor against the Jets, he explodes. Kelsey puts up a touchdown, of course, even with Daniel Jones not playing. And, you're going to have Aaron Rodgers back at some point. I think his team is the strongest at this point. Outside of Russo, I would say with a full slot, with no bye week issues here. Mm-hmm. Those two are the top teams by far. Let's talk a little bit about what happened this week. This was a very, very tough week for some teams here. And I really do think that this now is, the second half, really, we're into the second half of the season. But moving forward, I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about who you think in the second half is going to maybe show up and do some damage for some teams and maybe catapult them into a playoff spot or maybe, win them a championship. So I know Boyce has got one. He's ready to go, and we can go around the horn here. I'll go last. Boyce, who's your first guy? We'll go with 2 if you have a second one.
I think it's pretty funny that Russo actually made this comparison probably about 4 or 5 weeks ago. My second half stud's Javonte Williams. I think that he's starting to get a little more carry share. while he's still not getting the goal line work, the yards per carry are only going up every year. And it's very reminiscent of Cam Akers last year in the second half of the season, getting worked
Maybe
back
Jonathan
into the
Taylor.
offense.
Yeah.
And Henderson was the guy there and was playing well. But by the time the last 3 or 4 weeks of the season rolled around, Akers was the guy. And I could very much see that happening with Williams and Gordon by the end of this season. Gordon's been very good. I mean, and he's been extremely efficient with the carries he is getting. But they took Javonte Williams for a reason, right? Like, eventually this is going to be his backfield, whether it's by the end of this season or at least first week of next year.
Yeah, one would think, right, that you don't draft somebody that high to go and put him into committee, right? Which is actually a little surprising that he's kind of been in this committee so long. And which I guess I don't know if that gets to the question, do they just go and will Melvin Gordon continue to have a role, right? And even if it is 60-40 to Williams instead of the pure 50-50 split. And the question with Williams is, how much of that role does he need on a fairly bad Denver team to really be like very fantasy or like win your league fantasy relevant?
Yeah, I mean, I'll just say this, that Javonte Williams, I agree with you boys in the sense that Cam Akers, he went off the year he came in. Jonathan Taylor took an injury to Marlon Mack. And I just think that
still he wasn't.
And I just don't think they're going to give him. They're not going to give him 15 to 20 carries a game. The game last week against the Cowboys, they were run heavy because they were up big. I think Javonte needs to break. Like he had every opportunity to score that goal line touchdown. He was in there and he missed twice, and it ended up being Bridgewater getting across. But I want to agree with you boys because I own Javonte Williams in a couple of leagues, but I just think that Melvin Gordon is still an essential part to this offense. And also, if they're winning games, why if they're out of it, then let's see what we have in Javonte Williams if we can give him a full workload. But Melvin Gordon will still be around.
I just think while I agree with that, I just think you're seeing, at least with the yards per carry creeping up every week, he's becoming more comfortable. He's reading the holes better. I think eventually they're going to be more confident in just getting him on the field more. And once he's on the field more, he's just going to do more. Like
his broken tackle numbers are
fair assessment.
Yeah.
Will, who's your guy?
So I had a couple, but
you first.
My less obvious one was actually the other guy in that backfield at UNC, and I think Michael Carter, the first, is going to go and have
the OG.
Yeah. I think he's going to go and have a great second half, and especially that you're starting to see his broken tackles and his yards per carry numbers creep upwards, coinciding with a little bit more confident quarterback play there. But also, don't forget that Mekhi Becton's coming back, and so now you're going to have that dominant left side of the line, that at least in the run blocking game. And so having Michael Carter back there could really go and put some teams over the that's a guy that was a late round draft pick, maybe even a waiver wire pickup at some points, that could go and be a playoff starter for some teams.
Sure. Not specific to our league, but just in general, I think this guy that I'm going to say, maybe an obvious one because he's not outside the top 30 at his position. He's inside the top 24 right now in a standard league, probably inside more in a PPR. With the injury to Claypool, with the emergence of Freiermuth, I think Deontay Johnson, his role will continue to be solid, and I think he's going to take another step because now there's another mouth to feed. Not so much that's going to take away from his targets, but defenses are going to have to account for the Muth, and I think that opens up things for Deontay Johnson. And the Steelers start to roll in the second half of the year. Now, do I think he's going to make it to the top 12? I think so, but I don't see him inside the top 5 or 6, but definitely a low end 2, maybe or a high end 2, low end 1 wide receiver for the rest of the year for Deontay Johnson. And you drafted him as a low end wide receiver 1. So I think these next few games, now that they're out of the bye, he's going to, be someone you're going to set and forget. And I could see him, taking off and having some big games down the road here.
Well, in half point and full point PPR, he's a must start. That's not. I don't even think that's an issue because the target volume alone is godly. But
Yeah.
I think, like, if we're speaking towards our league, the lack of red zone targets are always going to hurt him because he's more of a shorter type of back,
Like a
especially
Keenan
now
Allen.
with Freiermuth showing that he can be reliable in that role. I just don't foresee him getting the touchdown numbers, but in PPR, it's far less touchdown dependent, right? Like you could
Double
roll
digits all day long.
you can roll him out there. He's like Jarvis Landry when he was on the Dolphins. Like in a PPR format, Jarvis Landry is practically a wide receiver one because he's going to get the ball thrown to him 20 times a game. So yeah, I definitely think in half point, in full point PPR, he's going to be ridiculously good, especially because, like you said, he's not going to get doubled nearly as much, and those underneath routes are going to be there all the time now.
Absolutely.
I think in standard format, he's still the same guy. I don't think you're not going to get as much as your pro. I don't see a marked increase,
like a touchdown positive regression for him, where he starts to score in the second half here because he doesn't have many.
The question is, are they actually going to start looking towards him in the red zone? Like,
yeah,
I watched that game the other day. It's Najee and or a tall wide receiver. Like that's really all they're looking for. Even guys like James Washington are getting the ball thrown to him inside the 20 more than Deontay Johnson is. I agree with you as far as catch dependent scoring. Sure, in standard touchdown dependent scoring, I don't think you're going to get that much out of him for the rest of the year, or that much of an increase rather.
Yeah, boys, who's your second guy if you have one?
I'm sticking with the Broncos, and I'm rowing my own magic 8-ball this time, and I'm gonna say Jerry Jeudy. I think people were high on this guy for forever. He looked absolutely ridiculous in the 2 and 1 drive quarters of football he played week 1. He looked a hell of a lot better last week, and who knows? Maybe we saw Teddy Bridgewater be able to have a pretty competent season last year with some pretty good weapons. He's got good weapons here. Courtland Sutton has kind of reemerged as at least not sucking, so that should probably help.
To vault coverage at least. But Courtland Sutton's target share has dropped now that Judy's back, right? So
correct.
With every plus there is a minus.
Sure.
Jerry Jeudy. I think that's a good pick, and actually. It's funny that all three of us have owned him in this league for at
least 2 weeks at some point.
Yeah, right.
Only I don't know, maybe 10 days on my team, but I do think that's the value there, right? This guy is silky smooth in his route running. He has great hands.
Yep.
And so he's able to separate. And it's just, can he go and put it together? He had a nice year last year. It's almost forgotten. He had over 800 yards as a rookie. So that I think that's a kind of a nice spot for him to really take a step forward. The only thing is the question mark is the quarterback play and what's the ceiling there, because he's not a kind of an athletic freak of just going in like the Metcalf variety where you just say throw the ball up to him and he's going to make something happen.
Well, is it? But to my point, though, you watched DJ Moore do some pretty good things last year with Teddy Bridgewater. I think we'd all agree that Jerry Jeudy's at the very least as talented as DJ Moore. So I
don't know about that. They're very different type of players, right? And so, which I do think that actually Jerry Jeudy goes and meshes well with Bridgewater, because I think Bridgewater can stay on timing, on rhythm, and that's where you want to have those dominant route runners, right? That they're going to get to that spot at that time and hopefully create separation. Whereas Moore is more of a even though he's not the biggest guy, but he has a much better speed profile and kind of breaks some tackles. So he's a little bit more shifty.
He gets the ball all over the field too. Yeah, he gets the ball down the field. He gets the ball behind the line of scrimmage. I think if Jeudy was that type of player, they would use him like that. They do get him the ball in short yardage, but it's not the gadget, it's wide receiver screen. Maybe they do, but because we haven't seen him in 7 weeks. But I agree with both of you. I think that I think Jeudy does have a strong second half. And if he can, mesh well with Bridgewater, he could put up some DJ Moore type numbers. Will, who's your second guy?
So I'm going to go through a few of them. And I'm going to go a little bit.
You can't show up late and then get the whole show here, right?
Get all of them. I'm just reading down the list of players on my team here, and but it is going to be a guy off my squad. And it's Donovan Peoples-Jones, and I think that when in our league here that Kevin had picked him up a couple of weeks back, and I think I even
I had him once, yeah.
Yeah, I think I said it to maybe the boys that I was upset that that Kevin had picked him up, and I was actually looking to go and trade for him from Kevin, and he ended up going and having that like phantom injury at the kickoff or whatever that he like shot his pants or whatever he did, and so then Kevin got upset and dropped him, right, and I was able to pick him up right before the Odell news kind of dropped. But the reason why I actually was interested in him was I don't think that Cleveland's going to keep either of, well, obviously not Odell, he's gone, but I don't think Landry's going to be back there either next year. And Baker's better at going and kind of finding the open guy as opposed to feeding a star. And I think that that really is going to play well to Donovan Peoples-Jones. That he's going to, like kind of what he did last week, he's going to get maybe a handful of targets a week, but one or two of them are going to pop for pretty big plays. And so I think that he's a guy that kind of in that wide receiver 3 flex role kind of could pop for some teams here down the stretch.
Well, when I think about Donovan Peoples-Jones, I think of him as a much better Rashard Higgins, or B, a Henry Ruggs without the gun or the deployed airbags. Donovan Peoples-Jones can run.
Fast.
No, I mean his athletic profile is off the charts, right? Whether he was going to go be able to piece it together. Yeah. In which I mean he's bigger. I'm trying to think of the guy that kind of comes to mind. He's not as physical as Josh Gordon, but like kind of that bigger dude. There's somebody that's a better comp there, and it'll come to me in a second. But
who's that? Who are you talking about? Which team?
Donovan Peoples-Jones. What are you talking about?
I know. Well, who's the comp you were thinking of?
I was saying Josh Gordon was the one I mentioned, but I can't think of. There's somebody that's kind of that lanky, kind of, but athletic freak type profile.
He's going to pop a couple corners before he starts getting the respect he probably deserves.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah, no, I think Donovan Peoples-Jones is a guy we've all liked, and there just never was a role there. Now, clearly that there is with OBJ out the door. Mm-hmm. He could have some big weeks too. My last guy, I was gonna torture you guys and just tell you again, I will not give up on Brandon Ayuk. I think he has some, better weeks ahead. But my guy is going to be a player on the same team. I think it's George Kittle. I think the guy is still good if he's now healthy. He's going to get the ball. And I think he's going to do a lot with Boyce looking on.
I think Samuel there too. I mean, that he's a real difference maker.
Yeah, I think you don't trust Kittle's health. Yeah. All right. Well, yeah. I mean, I'm saying if he stays healthy, I think he's. We drafted him as a guy who was going to be in the top 4, and he's at this moment obviously hasn't played a lot, so he's got little competition to leapfrog to get to that point. But it's if the run game starts to gel again, San Francisco looks like this team that could be really good. And then they don't do well when it comes to game day, but maybe it's because they were missing Kittle. And I think maybe Kittle is kind of the cog in that offense that needs to produce. So if he does, they'll do well and he'll continue to get the ball. And if he's healthy, that's where I stand. I think that he has a chance to get back into the top 6, maybe even creep into the top 5 if he finishes strong.
I would hate to send Will into a tailspin of nightmares here, but if Garoppolo's, I agree with you if Lance takes over the job. If Garoppolo's still the quarterback there, he stinks, and I just do not foresee that passing game getting any better.
That's fair, and they could make that switch if they continue to lose because they want to see what they have in Lance. So those are our studs. If you've got any that you want to discuss, throw them out in the chat because we're going to move right along.
Honorable mention to Elijah Moore.
I was actually thinking both Moores, right?
Elijah Moore.
Not the 2 Moores we didn't mention in this segment, but also Rondell as well.
Rondell,
that he start getting, especially in a PPR where I think they're going to start I mean that team's virtually unstoppable for kind of coming out of nowhere to being really.
And now
good.
with Edmonds being out too, and they need that guy who gets the ball in the short yardage, and that looks like Moore is the guy. They're lining him up in the backfield at times too, to kind of as a gadget type player. Yeah, both Moores, double trouble for guys. Look at that, guys that we all decide that we like that are on our teams, except for Kittle, of course, and Deontay. But well, we hope, we all hope that we have some good second halves here. There's some guys that aren't so lucky right now. We talked about Pat Mahomes before you got on here. Will, what do you take of if you can give us a little bit of your insight, your statistical insight you see with Mahomes and what's going on there in Kansas City?
Yeah, I think my biggest thing on Mahomes, I think that he wants the home run ball, right? I think they're getting a little highlight driven there in Kansas City. And it's not that they're not moving the ball; it's just they're not becoming touchdowns when they get into the red zone. They're turning over the ball even rather than kicking field goals, right? And I think that's really what's stopping them. And I brought this up in our chat that I think that even against the Giants, they went and ran that like razzle dazzle, double reverse, end around, whatever, where Kelsey, like, there was no one in front of him. He would have walked into the end zone, but instead he throws behind the back pass to Mahomes, who then goes and rifles it and bounces off somebody's face mask or something. And it's like he could have walked in, but instead he was, I don't know, he probably got to name the play, or it was one he thought of. And it's like all this fun shit that they come up with. And yeah, it's fun and there's crazy plays. But everybody, the thing is, the book's out, right? Everybody knows they're going to do crazy plays at the goal line.
Yeah.
And the thing is, the simple shit scores. Yeah. And instead, they're too busy going and wanting to be the Harlem Globetrotters than to go and be a good football team.
NFL Street, remember that game?
Yeah. And it does look like that. The same shit, like that. He's going falling down, hucking the ball, and it's like
jump
the damn sack, punt the ball, going like. And so I think and that's we've had this conversation many times, but the thing that's the best quarterbacks in the league are the ones that don't make mistakes, and that they're kind of boring, right? They're on timing, like it's what Tom Brady does and has done forever. He's never had the best arm. That he's just able to go and get the ball to the open guy on timing, on target. Same with Manning, that was able to do that forever.
Yeah.
You don't need this howitzer for an arm. If you can be accurate and be on time, then that's all you need. And so they're making them be accurate and on time, and they just can't do it.
I think that's where the difference is between. Yeah, I mean, it's the difference between fantasy and reality, right? Reality, you want to win football games. Fantasy, you want to score as many points as possible. So it's like almost like they're playing a fantasy. Yeah, it's like they're playing a fantasy game while trying to win real football games. So yeah, I tend to agree with you. Boyce and I both agreed that we don't know what's going on there, and they're trying to run the ball too, which maybe that gets to your point, be a little more boring and try to establish the run. But we'll see. They've got a juicy matchup coming up here against the Raiders, who just lost to the Giants. Let's go.
They picked the wrong running back there too, in which I think it helps when Clyde Edwards-Helaire gets back. But this is the thing: is that they should have recognized that what's the best complement, that we have this downfield speed. Maybe we do need a power element, right?
Yeah.
Imagine if you put like an AJ Dillon on that team, or I mean, the guy in that draft was Jonathan Taylor, right? Yeah. If you had Jonathan Taylor going and pounding the rock between the tackles with their freaking massive front seven, front five,
plus Kelsey front six, yeah.
So I mean, the tackle's a little light, but I mean, their center guard and guards are big boys.
Yeah.
And so that's the thing, is if you're able to actually like go and run up the middle, like, yeah, you're gonna have to bring a safety into the box. You know what that means? You can throw the ball over the top to Tyreek Hill. So they're just not playing complementary football at all.
Yeah, I think that's why you have seen the running game at least look a little bit better with guys like Williams and Gore in there, because they're more north-south-y type guys, and I think Clyde just
likes to bounce.
Clyde's just not that guy. I think everybody was very high on Clyde coming into the year, and myself included. And
I think we all were.
You're just watching that. I thought he was going to get the ball thrown to him more. And I just, that's not really what they've been doing either. And it's just, to Will's point about the razzle dazzle bullshit, what happened to like the more simplified razzle dazzle shit though? Like, when was the last time you saw the old tight end shovel pass from the 2-yard line? Where the fuck did that play go?
Well, the book is out. as Will said, people are aware of it now. Maybe they pinch the tackles in and they, kind of spy on the backfield there. And that's why they're trying to do different stuff. But you're right, boys. That was a very effective play for them a lot last year.
And I haven't seen it in 4 weeks. Like, I can't imagine. Like, I have a feeling if they pop that one out this weekend against the Raiders, it's going to score. Because let's be honest, the book had been out on that play for 2 years, and that essentially was their goal line run. Like, that was the play. That and
Clyde couldn't get in. Yeah.
That jet sweep pass to Tyreek Hill, which I also haven't seen in fucking 3 weeks. So I don't.
Well, there's no behind the back like 360 dunk pass, and so they scrapped it from.
They're trying to run the annexation of Puerto Rico on every play, and it's not working out, unfortunately.
Bold prediction for this week: the tight end shovel pass touchdown to Jordy Forster. Not Travis Kelce.
Not Travis Kelce. I like it.
Jody Forster.
We're going fullback shovel pass.
That's right.
I'm into
it. Let's run over week 10 matchups quickly through, go for some predictions, but let's focus on some of the matchups we see here with some guys. We'll highlight some players. I'll throw some names out. You guys tell me what you think. Going over the first matchup here. On a roll right now, a couple of wins in a row. I am back in relevance, maybe not.
Yeah, you only came out of the playoffs.
Out of the booty bowl now. But yeah, this is for me this week is a big matchup because I know Boyce wants me to win because we want to see Mullen back in.
I don't know. I think I want you to come back down to earth and join them up with the rest of us. I think I don't want you to win for the rest of the year.
All right. Well,
that's where I'm at.
We're currently projected to lose here 96-86, but I'm particularly interested in seeing this Denver-Philly matchup. There's going to be a lot riding on this game because I've got Javonte. He's got Jalen Hurts. Here's a thought.
Doesn't look good for you.
Analytical thought. I will get to that. Jalen Hurts kind of reminds me a little bit of what Dak does. He can run a little bit, he throws it all over the field. But if they have a game plan for that type of player, does that translate now into a game at home, riding high on a big win against the quarterback who is, known to turn it over at times?
Dak has one leg. He's not running anywhere.
All right, so you say no. I think that this might be the Najee Harris revenge game after me trading him last year to Mullen. So I think, you're probably right. I'm
against Detroit, right? And the flip side, that's not looking too good. So I got Mullen here.
Here's the benefit for you, though, Brett, in this situation. I'm looking at 2 players on Mullen's side and 1 player on your side that stand out to me greatly. If it is the Najee Harris revenge game, and I 100% agree with Will, it will be the Najee Harris revenge game. Chase Claypool and Pat Freiermuth may combine for 4 points.
Claypool, by the way, just broke news that he's going to be week to week, so he's not going to play. So let's say he throws in Sutton, who he's got on his bench. So yeah, but I agree. Yeah, I mean Freiermuth, including. Yeah, I mean, unless they put up a lot of points there, they both could score. But yeah, I agree. But yeah, I think Claypool's going to be out. You might see that key switch to no.
The other big one here, and this is another guy that probably could have been a second half stud potentially. Rashad Bateman's really good at football, and the Miami Dolphins are not this year on either side of the football, which is kind of crazy when you think about it. Like Brian Flores has done such a good job with that defense over the last 2 years, and they stink now.
Really bad, yeah.
Bateman's target share has increased week to week, which is actually opening the field more for Brown as well. But if they do decide to shade coverage more towards Hollywood, I expect Bateman to have a big game. And Mark Andrews probably.
Predictions.
I am actually going to take Brett. I think Javonte has a big game against the Eagles.
Come on. No, I got Mullen here. Yeah, I mean.
All right.
You're gonna be back. Booty bound.
Steve looking to get off a tough loss to Boyce last week against
all Steve's weeks and then tough losses.
I know. I feel like we say this every week now. I know, Steve. If you're watching on, we're pulling for you here. But this week up against a pretty strong team. Now look at this, D'Ernest Johnson. Oh man, it was tough to hold on to him once Chubb was gone or back, and I didn't have Chubb, so I had to drop somebody, and it was D'Ernest. And 15 points he's projected against New England with no one else in the backfield but him to get the football. And I'm nervous about Alvin Kamara against Tennessee, but this is the one you've got highlighted on your schedule here. Josh Allen off a terrible game against Jacksonville is going to want to come out and throw for 1,000 yards against the Jets and send people from the Meadowlands home crying. So I think Ham's got a real good chance here to put a high score of the week.
Yeah, even
And-
Waller against KC.
Yep, and I think the Cowboys defense against Atlanta. Yeah, so I've got Ham here on the other side. James Conner now is going to be the guy. And, you know, Devontae Adams, does he get Aaron Rodgers back this week? We'll see. But we know that Seattle's defense can be a little suspect on the back end. Where do you guys see this going in terms of matchup play here?
I say Ham. I think this is going to be closer than people think. This might be the two highest scores of the week, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say too.
Bills defense against the Jets as well.
Defense against the Jets. That's the big one, right? Like, that could be a 30.
Wilson's not playing though, so it's gonna be
Mike White,
the White God,
the White Knight. Oh man, I can't wait.
So no, yeah, I think, but yeah, I have Ham here as well. I think that, I think Steve's able to make it close, just because some of those matchups are pretty good. But I think Hams are better.
Well, speaking of matchups, this one looks pretty juicy for you there, Will. 100-76 projected here. I mean, an incomplete
he needs
lineup.
Running back, right?
Of course. He does this to us every week. He doesn't give us a complete lineup because he doesn't want us to talk about his team. But Kevin, once again, looking for some luck here on his side. Is he going to roll with Matt Ryan this week with Murray out, boys? Sonny Michel is getting the start for him here. He doesn't have much else on the bench here. I mean, you know, Alex Collins. Yeah.
Is he going to start like Carlos Hyde?
Yeah, no.
James White's coming back too. James Thompson, sorry.
Justin Jefferson against a Chargers defense that doesn't look that great. But, yeah, the old RB0, as Dr. Devilfish points out, writes on his script pad there. RB0, prescribing no running backs for Kevin. Boys, what do you think here? You and I get to predict what we think is going to happen here, even though I think I know what you're going to say.
Will's going to win. Kevin, this is just it's a tough matchup week 2 when you think about it. Although I'm not exactly in love with two of Will's best offensive weapons playing against that Arizona defense, which sometimes is very, very good. And sometimes is very, very bad. So who knows? But I expect Mark Andrews to have a big week. I expect with Corey Davis back in the lineup, Elijah Moore is going to be able to pretty much be the smokescreen guy. If they're rolling most of their coverage towards Davis, I expect him to have a big day. Derek Carr might throw for 500 yards against the Chiefs because
trying to play catch up. Yeah.
Well, not even just the fact that he can't play catch up, because the Chiefs can't cover anybody. Like, like, you know, with Renfro there, with Renfro and Edwards, and Waller, and you know he's got two running backs that can catch the ball out of the backfield. That might be the stream of the week.
I'll take Will here as well. I think the Rams defense at 7 points projected is ludicrous. I think they're going to put up double-digit points easy against San Francisco because they don't look good at all.
And Von Miller's back in this week.
And Von Miller is back as well. So we both got Will here. The last couple matchups we will go over. This is it. This is the big one here. Teddy versus Brian. Is this the week that we see a little shakeup in the standings at the top here? Aaron Rodgers looks like he'll be back. Dalvin Cook, Jonathan Taylor, they're going to be playing. Cooper Kupp. This is a very strong roster here for Ted. This is a very strong week.
Jonathan Taylor against Jacksonville. Circle that one.
Yeah, absolutely. I like Kelsey as well here. And I'm not necessarily in love with the Saints defense, but against a team like Tennessee, where maybe they try to keep it close and just trying to walk up and down the field and not let them really get into a rhythm with Kamara, that could be a low scoring game, and you could see some points there. Turnovers, you know, they aren't easy to come by with Tennessee because they tend to keep, you know, the ball off the ground. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, Brian's been on a slide, let's be honest. And now you're not, you know, your roster doesn't look as strong. 2 of 3, right? Yeah, he's lost 2 of 3, and he's lost, you know, his best player, Derrick Henry. Right. So we talked about this earlier. There is the chance that Michael Pittman eats a little bit and then Taylor runs it. So that's going to maybe cancel it out. Mm-hmm. You like Aaron Jones against Seattle at home. You like, Patrick Mahomes.
Seattle's better at playing against a run, though, than the pass.
Okay.
Right?
Saw that in the Saints game.
You have Jamal, right, that can't cover anybody, but he loves being up around the line of scrimmage. I actually think the Bryant's chance is a Kansas City get right game. I could see that the
against
two
a
of those
divisional
guys,
foe,
kind of going off in a shootout there.
But in a Kansas City get right game, is Tyreek the one getting the ball, or is it Travis Kelce? Because that's where the coin flip is there, right? Like if Kelce has a huge game, that swings back Ted's way anyway. And I think the bigger matchup that no one's talking about get right games is, I think the Rams are going to try and score 1,000 points against San Francisco after the absolute shit pumping they got from the Tennessee Titans on Sunday Night Football, which no one saw coming. So I expect Cooper Kupp to have a huge game this weekend.
Do we think Diggs gets right against the Jets? I mean, it's not. Again, we're taking Ted here because I think that he's not going to get enough. But I mean, if Diggs scores, it could be close. But he needs to get 100 yards and a touchdown, I think, to really be like, whoa, okay, you know what? He's back. He's the top guy there. We just mentioned earlier to Mr. Chosen Rose, it could be anybody, but maybe it's Diggs this week. But are we all in unison taking Teddy here?
Yeah. I think the one thing I will say about Diggs is just it seems like in Buffalo it could be anybody any week. Josh Allen is not feeding anyone wholeheartedly. He's doing whatever he feels is best to win football games. He's not trying to pamper egos by any stretch of the imagination.
Well, Brian, ever since the train's been on the tracks, 2 losses in 3 weeks. We'll see if the train can keep rolling or not. See what happens there against, of course, Teddy. He'll be watching from home in this cage. Well, I think it's going to be again, another high-scoring matchup here, but we're taking Teddy. Last couple matchups we will go over, and a few key guys that we like. We've got Naka versus Kittle Big Town Devil. Right now, Devil's got a strong roster after Lamar Jackson came out and had an incredible second half in that game. And people were predicting both teams were going to score over 30. It happened, and he was a big part of that. Antonio Gibson, I don't like him against Tampa Bay. We do like Cordarrelle Patterson. And believe it or not, I mean, Jarvis Landry against New England, Stephon Gilmore's out. So you might see him a little bit more involved in a PPR. He's much better, but
he's on a different team.
What's that?
He's out of New England.
He's out of New England.
Yeah,
that's what I mean.
He's been
Carolina. Right?
Stephon Gilmore. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like that was like their lockdown guy. So you're not gonna have anyone locked down.
Yeah, they wouldn't replace him last year when he opted out. I forget the dude's name, but he's pretty good there.
J.C. Jackson is unreal too. So I think people assuming that Cleveland's just gonna walk in New England and roll them is very you are very mistaken. That New England defense looks like it has something to prove considerably, and they've been very good the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, they played well.
Yeah. So do we like Naka here? I mean, is it it's pretty close on paper here. But again, I mean, you get Robbie Anderson, hasn't done much all year. Fant's back off the COVID, or he was hurt or whatever. He's back. Steelers D against Detroit. That'll be a good one. But look at the, Jordan Howard. He's got weak spots in his lineup, but it's not a complete lineup. Like he's got Jacobs, great against Kansas City. Does he get the ball a lot? Does he get a couple touchdowns? Sure. Can Kirk Cousins continue to be a top 10 quarterback up against a team that likes to give up points? Sure. But to me, I think Devil's team still has a shot here, even with the close matchup.
Yeah, this is the pillow fight of the week. I think I do have Devil in this matchup though. I mean, I don't think it's gonna come anywhere close to these 90-point projections.
Interesting,
but
boys.
I think the only way I think it can, because I think Devil's got a better shot at hitting 90 points than Naka does, and that's specifically because Lamar dropping 40 on the Dolphins would not surprise me in the least.
True. Last matchup we'll go over. He's on a winning streak, folks. Christopher Cornwell Boyce against a team that put up about 50 points last week and is looking to get right. This looks pretty lopsided. Now, hang with me here.
A lot of cues, though. That's the only thing that's potentially saving me here.
That's what I was going to say. Zeke Elliott's not practicing. Chris Godwin's not practicing. AJ Brown's banged up, and DeAndre Hopkins isn't back on the field yet. So it could be another week of some blues here if Russo's roster isn't healthy. But boys,
and Taylor Heineke could score against the Tampa Bay Buck defense. We've seen it before. So I'm banking on Taylor Heineke saving my life this weekend. I don't fucking know. Maybe, sure. We'll see what happens.
It's interesting. You got some really, it's kind of like my team. You got good names, you've got good ball players, but it's not the top elite guys that you like to see out there every week. Any of these guys could score any week, but it's not the consistency that you and I have been getting all year. That's why our records reflect that. And on paper, again, it looks like a lopsided margin here. But
my record reflects my team sucking because my team sucks. It's not.
I was trying to save you a little bit here.
There's no luck involved. This roster looks a hell of a lot better than what I was staring at 3 weeks ago. So at least there's that.
Even further back, let's go to the draft too.
Yeah, for real.
Will, what do you think here? Is it? I mean, were we analyzing too much? Is this?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if there's anything to look at. I mean, even if half those guys play, I think Boyce is in trouble. I guess if you want to go and map a path to victory, right? That you need Herbert to have a huge game, and that huge game needs to be almost exclusively feeding Mike Williams, right? You need the Mike Williams that you traded for, the guy that was the first, number 2 after the first 4 weeks. Not the guy we've seen the last 4. And the thing is, right? I think you need one of those two dudes in Miami to break out a little bit, right? To get some points there, because I think it's gonna be difficult to see too many points at your running back positions. Maybe get a touchdown. You're in the 10, 12 point range.
If Carson stays healthy, I'm likely putting him in for Williams.
I was just gonna say, I was gonna scroll down to your bench here. Yeah, Carson's gonna be back. So, I think. Hey, Evan Ingram scored last week, by the way. Chris Carson, if he comes back, you're gonna slide him in over Darrell Williams, I'm assuming.
Correct.
Okay. Well, I mean, look, again, boys.
Maybe. We'll fucking see. I don't. Yeah. It's
93 points is not terrible, but I just think this is a tough matchup for this week. I'm
going to take LSD Saturday night, and then we'll see what my lineup looks like Sunday morning. That's pretty much how this is going to go. So,
well, maybe you can slip some in Roos's drink, and he changes his lineup too. But
my team name's going to be changed to Acid Ad Drop by fucking Sunday morning.
That.
So
I like that. We're both taking Russo here, who's looking to peeper some Angus after a rough loss to me last week. So there you go. There you have it. The Week 10 matchups in the books, and of course, we'll be excited to watch the games and see what everyone's doing on Sundays. We got a big matchup tonight, or tomorrow night, I should say, with the Dolphins and the now rolling Ravens. So do we expect a lot of scoring, or is it going to be one of those Thursday night games that just it's over before you know it, kind of a thing?
I will be taking the I haven't even looked at it yet, but I will be taking the Baltimore team total over, whatever that is, for tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah, I think. I mean, you have to imagine that Baltimore just rolls, right? That Miami team wasn't good. They got a little bit of Fitzmagic. It's still not good.
Is Tua out? Is it going to be the brisket?
I think so. I think Tua's still hurt now. Is he hurt or just ineffective? I couldn't.
It's a little bit of both, maybe. But I don't know. I mean, good. Yeah, I mean, look, Gaskin had a nice week last week, but against
in fairness to Tua here, no one fucking looks good. The offensive line doesn't look good. The receivers don't look good outside of Waddle. Occasionally, the defense doesn't look good. That's what a bad
quarterback does to you. Like as Jets fans, we've seen this for a decade. That like a bad quarterback makes the whole offense look like shit.
But I mean, in fairness, they've tried other quarterbacks, and the offense still looks like shit.
I mean, Brisket sucks too, right? Like, so it's not. No, it's like Brisket wasn't. I mean, he was a second round pick or whatever he was back in the day. But I mean, he's been on 3 teams. He's a journeyman that really has. He has no upside. He can go and be serviceable in a pinch, but he's not. He's no Mike White. Like he's not.
Yeah, I was just gonna say
Josh Johnson.
Speaking of, here's your lock of the week. from Goober. Mike White 4+ touchdowns from
Against
your mouth.
Buffalo, just going
4+
torch
touchdowns
the-
against Buffalo.
Just
Lock
torch
it in,
him.
he says.
Buffalo, Goober.
Yeah.
Lock
So,
it
but
in.
if he does, right? If he just tortures him, like, do you go and roll with Mike
That's
White?
Tua.
Like, is
You
this a
absolutely-
Mike White
let
show,
me-
right?
let me
Like, we
tell
get a
you
little
right now.
insanity.
If Mike
Insanity.
White beats the Bills, you have to keep starting him until he looks human, like
Yeah.
forever. Like, and
Well,
I
Saleh came out and said he's the
and
starting
if
quarterback.
if
moving
that
forward.
means, I don't care what that means. If they continue to win fucking football games, and that means you have to bench Zach Wilson for forever, shoot him into the moon, give him AIDS, I don't care. If they're winning football games, they're winning football games, and that's
Listen, you can get AIDS and still be good at sports. Look at Magic
Yeah,
Johnson. all right,
Magic
I don't want to
Johnson.
hear it.
He came back. He was
need
an
money.
all-star.
You need money. That's right. I think it's gonna be a rough week for the Jets, but you never know. Anything can happen. That's why they play the games, folks. Could be another
It's actually a rough
Jaguars
weekend
crap game.
against Cincinnati too. Right?
I wanted to bring that up. Yeah. That Cincinnati game, that was fun to watch. Like, even though it was like, it was back and forth. I mean, they
the
look
defense
like
can't stop anybody.
They can, but
Can't
like Mike White might actually be good. Who knows? I mean,
I think
He's the
I think
exact
it's-
opposite, right?
I
He
think it's-
stays on schedule. He goes and hits the check down. He goes and completes passes. He's exactly a West Coast offense guy.
he's the
right?
guy that Saleh was looking for. Absolutely.
I mean, yeah, or LaFleur, right? He's the Shanahan
Yeah,
guy, right?
LaFleur, yeah.
He's just-
Mhm.
yeah.
So I mean, and I think like coming out of that game, I thought maybe that there was just a bit of it was Cincinnati walking in there and thinking they were going to absolutely roll the Jets, and then it didn't happen. And I think to Will's point, the first drive against a very, very, very good, probably top 5 Indianapolis defense, Mike White looked awesome.
Yeah.
So
And a beautiful ball for the touchdown. Yeah.
he looks
absolutely.
very, very, very good. And if he plays this way against Buffalo, I don't even really care if they lose the game. If it's
Yeah, if
close
he
and
looks
it's
good,
competitive and he looks
absolutely.
good, you have to keep playing him.
Yeah, we're all in agreement with that.
Because you have to understand that you have a lot of other young guys there that are not going to learn anything from continuing to lose.
And
winning
that's the thing is that all of a sudden
winning's contagious.
the offensive line looks competent. They're running the ball. I mean, Elijah Moore looks like he's breaking out. I mean, fuck, we even saw Denzel Mims. Like,
Yeah.
he got they allowed him to put on his jersey. I don't even know how that how it equates, but I mean, it's more because Corey Davis has been hurt. But
Yeah.
but that's also saying the thing, right? That like this is without their top wide receiver. That
Yeah.
both him and Josh Johnson. Josh Johnson looked pretty good too. He threw 330 yards.
It's catch up. Listen, we're losing our fan base here. We're getting off the rails with the Jet speak. Who do you want us to talk about, Steve? Your team again and all the tough losses you've had this year? No, I think that's good for us here. I mean, we're excited to see Week 10. We want to watch all the games that we can, of course.
This is fantasy relevant though. When
It is,
Mike
of course,
White is
yeah.
QB1 again.
Will just wants me to sit here and eat shit live and in color. That's pretty much what it is, which is fine. It's whatever. See, this is the difference, though. I'm willing to eat shit live and in color. It happens, but, what are you going to do? Win football games. That's all that matters.
That's very true. That's very true, which we all hope to do this weekend. So best of luck to everyone. Gentlemen, anything else before we sign it off?
One more Jets point. When was the last time that two Jets players were fantasy startable in the same week?
It's true. It's been a long time. Maybe
Brandon Marshall and
Decker,
Eric
maybe?
Decker.
Yeah.
Braylon Edwards and Sean Green.
yeah.
Give me those two studs. And the Jets defense at some point.
The
All right.
Jets-
Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in. We want to thank all of you that stopped by and commented and shared with us. And best of luck to everyone, of course. For Will, for Boy, Brett, we are out.
We out.
Fuck you, Zach Wilson.
Cut the stream.